Welcome to Echoes of Enlightenment, where we talk about spirituality, life lessons, and overall self-development. In today's episode, we'll be discussing why manipulation is a mean to an end. I would assume that the majority of us would like positive outcomes when having different experiences and different encounters with people. But when it starts out from a manipulative standpoint, from one party or the other, there's a means to an end. There's an end of a positive situation soon as the manipulation began. But some people think you're going to get a positive outcome even if you start by manipulating from the beginning. They still expect that there's going to be a positive ending to the situation. And what I mean by a positive situation, I'm talking about if you want something genuinely to happen, something that you really want deeply, that you really would be happy for, you're not going to get that if manipulation started it out. If you started out with manipulation. One, because you know you're manipulating. And manipulation is a form of deception. And deception is a form of a lie. And a lie is just low vibrational. But you want a high vibrational outcome from a low vibrational beginning. It's not going to happen. One, if you start out manipulating someone, you already know you're telling a lie or you're not being honest. And eventually the person you're dealing with is going to realize that you're not being honest, whether they catch you without them telling you, or you eventually have to tell the truth if you want whatever situation, platonic, romantic relationship, whatever situation when you're dealing with another person. Either they bust you or you bust yourself. So we already realize that it's over and done with if you started out wrong, because the foundation is already flawed. There's nothing for anything else to stand on because the foundation is already screwed up. It's like, let's build this house on this plastic, but we'll paint it and it'll look like cement. It'll look like concrete, but under it is plastic. Now let's try to build a house on it. What's going to happen to the house eventually? If it even can go up, even if it can even make it to being fully built, it's going to crumble because the foundation was already faulty from the start. But the reason why most people will use manipulation in the beginning, well, let me start it right here. Some people say, I'm just using manipulation just because I'm kind of being safe until I see who the person is. One, that you're still lying because you're not giving the other person a chance to make that same decision that you're trying to make. So eventually, that's not going to work. Then I'll be honest later. Well, no, it's like you already lied now. You lied in the beginning. And people say, first impressions. People go off of first impressions. And if the first impression is a manipulation, even if you find out later, how can you go back on that? Even the manipulator wouldn't go back on that if they found out somebody else was manipulating them. It's not going to work. Now, two manipulators, that's one is bad enough. Two is it's not going to work for sure. So when people start out by manipulating, what it's saying is there's some insecurities within that person. Because if you have to go up and trick somebody into getting an outcome that you would like, you don't think that you could do that same thing from just being who you are. You don't think that you're enough to where you can achieve that same outcome without tricking somebody into reaching that outcome. That's why I always say we got to get to know ourselves. We have to build our own self-confidence. We can't get it from the outside. You gotta build it. If any compliments or anything comes from the outside, that needs to just only be a bonus. Like, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. It shouldn't move your needle. It should, you could be, okay, thanks. That's it. But I was fine without it. I mean, don't say that to the person, but just know that on the inside, like, I know I look good when I walk out. I know I feel good when I walked out of the house. I know I feel full within. If anything other comes in from the outside, whether it's even a negative, somebody say something negative to you, it doesn't hit internally because you know that's not who you are. If somebody says something nice to you, say thank you. And that's it. It shouldn't mess with your core foundation because you've built that from the inside. That's why we take out time in isolation to get to know who we are. Because when you start a relationship or a friendship or whatever kind of situation, even a job, if you go in manipulating, acting like you can do something that you can't, it's a matter of time before the mask falls off. So now you're looking over your shoulder. You don't feel good. You don't feel secure in anything you're doing when it's like walking on ice. How careful are you when it's frozen outside, when there's ice on the ground and you need to walk to your car to get something? That's what it's like. It might not look like that physically when you're in the situation, but subconsciously, that's how you feel because you're not being honest. Now you got to tiptoe around what you might say. Now you also got in the back of your mind, this person might catch on to me manipulating them. The whole foundation is screwed from the beginning. And then say you start liking this person or you become good friends with this person. And it's based on manipulation from whatever standpoint you're manipulating from. It doesn't even matter from what angle you're manipulating from. Say you start liking that person. Now this whole thing, now you like somebody, but it was built on a faulty foundation. And now you're taking a risk of, if you tell them the truth, it's a 50-50 chance that they'll stay. And it also just depends on the level of manipulation that you've used on that person. That's why cut out manipulation altogether. It feels good to you to know you're telling the truth. Just have a conversation. It doesn't even have to start off super serious. Just be who you are. If you do the shadow work and build your self-esteem, come out on a good foot, that energy, that vibration already makes up for whatever you were thinking you were lacking by using the manipulation. That authentic vibration is something that you don't get to see every day. You would stand out in a positive way. You would get bonus points just from that. Like, dang, this person is being straightforward and they're not even doing nothing. Like, you don't have to just run your mouth, just always have something to say, because more you talk and more you entertain, more you're going to throw some deceitful stuff, some, lies, white lies, or just whatever. And that's just lowering your vibration. Just have a normal conversation, just chill, bring you to the table, just be who you are. And that's enough right there. And then if that person doesn't like you exactly for who you are, if you're already full on the inside, then you're like, that person just wasn't for me. You're not mad. You might be a little, upset, but if that person wasn't for you, they're just not for you. And then you're not for them either. Vice versa. Nobody wasted any time. If it would have worked, it would have been a perfectly good start because you were being authentic. There was no manipulation starting it out. Now, if but you're like, what if I'm being authentic and they're not being authentic? Then it's their loss. It's their loss. I came to the table and I was ready, and you find out that they're not being real or they were manipulating, then be like, that's not what I want. I came with being authentic. I want somebody else to be authentic. And being authentic, you don't have to divulge all of your information. Just say no. If you're authentically just saying no, like, hey, what's this? If they're being, too intrusive on your personal life and you don't even really know them, or even this is at work, this is wherever it is, just say, no, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. That's an authentic truth, even if it's not what they want to hear. It's just you being authentic, you being straightforward. Like, yo, nah, I don't really want to talk about that. Just say it nicely. And if they don't like that, then there you go. That person is not for you. Let me just stay away from you. If you're not going to respect my boundaries, then maybe we just can't hang out. But don't start it from manipulation. Don't start anything from a manipulation standpoint, because it's already done. Whatever the outcome is already done. And even if you do achieve a good outcome from the beginning of a manipulation, what if that person finds out later? It was still a lie. It's still negative energy that was put out. It was still a deceitful way that you achieved something. The energy is still out there. That vibration is still there. You might even get manipulated out of what the positive outcome you got. You might get manipulated yourself out of that. Just don't put that out there, and it feels better being authentic in all the situations you approach. It's going to be something there if it begins to flow in a positive way. But I'm in this right here. Until next time.